3.4, composite objects. So sometimes we need to find the surface area and volume of two objects that are touching. We call these touching objects, they're composite objects. So steps for volume, very easy. As per usual, volume is very easy. Determine the volumes for each object and then just add the volumes together. That's it. Okay. Surface area, it's the same thing. So determine the surface area for each object and then add them together. But this is the piece right here, subtracting the touching sides if the formula includes it. So let's take a look at this right here. Determine the surface area and volume for the following composite object. So first things first, let's actually find the slant height of this cone here, because that'll make our lives a whole lot easier. So I know that this length right here, our whole diameter, is 11.5. But if I were to take half of that 11.5, I would get 5.75 feet. That's our radius. So this is our diameter. This is our radius. So if I were to look at this right here, this perfect little Pythagorean theorem triangle, this guy is 4, this is 5.75. Let's figure out what the slant height is. So if I wanted to find out what S is, so S squared equals 4 squared plus 5.75 squared. S equals 16 plus 5.75 squared is 33.0625. I'm going to add 16 to that, and I get, S squared. S squared is going to be 49.0625, and I want to take the square root of both of those things. So I'm going to find the square root of that, the answer, and it is, my S is going to be 7.004, but you know what, we're just going to round to that. So this is how long the slant height is. So now that we know the slant height, we can very easily solve for both the surface area and the volume. Do you know what? I want to take the easy route right now. Let's start out with the volume. So with the volume, you have to find out what the volume of the first shape is and just simply add it to the volume of the second shape. So the volume of a cylinder is just going to be pi r squared h. I'm just going to use some colors here to help us distinguish the different colors, or the different sides. So we know on this, the radius is going to be 5.75. And I know that my height of this is going to be 11.5 feet. So I'm going to say pi times 5.75 squared plus, sorry, not plus, times 11.5. Let's take our calculator. So we have 5.75 squared times pi times 11.5 equals. So the volume of the cylinder is going to be 1,194.49. And that's feet cubed. The volume of a cone is going to be 1/3 pi r squared h, which is pretty awesome. It's just 1/3 a cylinder of the same size. And I'm going to keep the colors consistent. So the radius is still going to be that 5.75, but our height of the cone is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be 4 feet. Just love math so much for that reason, that these two things are related. I think that's quite beautiful. So 1/3 pi, and the radius is 5.75 squared times the height, which is 4. So remember, whenever you see 1/3 multiplied, all you have to do is divide by 3. So 5.75 squared times pi times 4 equals, and instead of multiplying by 1 and dividing by 3, I'm just going to simply divide by 3. You have 138.49. And of course this is feet cubed. Okay, so we have the volume of the cone, the volume of the cylinder. So the total volume, or the TV, is going to be 1194.49 feet cubed plus 138.49 feet cubed. So 1194.49 plus 138.49 equals 1332.98. Feet cubed. Okay, and that's the total volume. Okay, so let's talk about surface area here. It's the same step, so determine the surface area, add them together, but then we need to subtract the touching side if the formula includes it. Now when we look at the volume, the surface area for a cone, it does include the bottom. So let's just, first let's just find the surface area of these things. So surface area of 1, which is our cylinder, is going to be 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. Reminding us, just by using color here, we have our h and we have our r. Now it does include the surface. It does include 2 circles actually. So that means that we need to make sure that we subtract the circle that's on top of the cylinder, because that is surface area that's not showing when it's a composite object. So the first things first, find the area of the surface area of the cylinder. So 2 pi and then 5.75 times 11.5 plus 2 pi 5.75 squared. So I have 2 times pi times 5.75 times 11.5 equals, so 415.48. And then I'm going to find out what this one is, the next one. So 2 times pi times 5.75 squared equals, so 207.74. So 415.48 plus 207.74. So that's 623.22. Okay, so that is our surface area, and remember that's going to be feet squared. Surface area for the first shape. For the second shape, thank goodness that we found what that slant height is. We're just going to call it 7, which 7 feet, which is fine. So then the surface area of shape 2 is going to be pi r squared plus pi r s. Now I'm just going to highlight the s in a different color. I'm going to use yellow. So you'll notice here that we have pi r squared. This right here, my friends, this first little bit right there, that is the area of a circle. That's the area of the bottom circle. So we're eventually going to have to subtract 2 circles of that size. We'll get that to that in the next step. So that's pi 5.75 squared plus pi times 5.75 times 7. So 5.75 squared times pi equals 103.87. Plus pi times 5.75 times 7 equals 126.45. So 126.45 0.45 plus 103.87 equals 230.32. Feet squared. Yep. Okay, so that's the surface area of that cone. Now, what we need to do is we need to find the overlap. So we know that the overlap is a circle. It's this circle right here. Okay. And we need to subtract the circle that was counted on the top of this cylinder and on the bottom of this cone. So we're going to say 2 times pi times r squared, which is 5.75 squared. So that is 5.75 squared times 2 times pi equals 207.74. Interestingly enough, that's the same number as we added. And look at that, 2 pi r squared. Interesting. So then my total surface area is going to be surface area of 1 minus, plus surface area of 2 minus the overlap, which in this case is going to be 623.22 plus 230.32 minus 207.74. So that's going to equal 623.22 plus 230.32 minus 207.74 equals 645.8 feet squared. Awesome. Okay, one more shape and then we're good. So determine the surface area and the volume of the following composite object. So we know that the height, so this guy right here is going to be 20. The radius, this guy is 15. Let's find the slant height right away. So we're going to say s squared equals 15 squared plus 20 squared. So s squared is 225 plus 400. S squared is 625. I'm going to take the square root of both of those sides. S equals 25. Now I did that all without a calculator, which I think is pretty neat. You can only really know that if you have your perfect squares memorized. So I know that my slant height here is 25 meters. Let's start out with volume. So let's call this shape 1 and let's call this shape 2. So the volume of a sphere. And we're going to say half of a sphere. Okay. So we're going to say 0.5 times what the volume of a sphere is. So 4 over 3 pi r3. Now, in this case, our radius is 15. Okay, so that's what we're going to plunk in there. So 0.5 times 4 over 3 times pi times 15 to the power of 3. So I have 15 to the power of 3 times pi times 4 divided by 3 times a half, because it's only half of the sphere. So we have 7,068.58. And that's meters cubed. So if I'm looking for the volume of a cone, that's going to be 1/3 pi r squared h. My h is 20. And my radius is 15. So we're going to go 1/3 pi times 15 squared times 20 equals I'll just type that in. So 15 squared times 20 times pi divided by 3 is going to be 4,712.39. And of course that's meters cubed. So the volume total is going to be 7,068.58 plus 4,712.38 for a total of, so it's actually 39. Sorry about that, folks. Plus 7068.58 equals 11,780.97. And I'm just gonna make sure that I didn't type that in wrong, or write that down wrong. Okay, so that's gonna be our meters cubed. Put a box around it. See guys, volume's so easy. I just love volume. Let's make the surface area just as easy, okay? So let's just do the first things first. Let's find out what the surface area of both of these shapes are. So the surface area of a sphere, so remember we only have half of it, so it's going to be half of a sphere, which is going to be 0.5, because it's half, times 4 pi r squared. And remember, our radius is going to be 15. So I'm going to say 0.5 times 4 times pi times 15 squared. So that's going to be, I'm going to say 15 squared times pi times 4 times 0.5 equals 1,413.62. Oh, sorry, 72, my bad. And that's feet squared. Okay, so we found the surface area of that. Now, the surface area of a cone is going to be pi rs plus pi r squared. Here's the circle at the bottom of the cone. Okay, that's the thing that we need to subtract, because if we look at the surface area of the sphere, that half section right here, this cross section of the sphere, it isn't actually calculated in the formula. It's just the curved bit all around it. Okay, whereas with the surface area of the cone, the formula does include that circle at the bottom. So if we wanted to take a shortcut here, we could simply not worry about this. And in fact, why don't we do that for this time, just so you can see two different ways. So I'm going to say pi times the radius, which is 15, times the slant height, which we calculated to be 25. So I'm going to go pi times 15 times 25 equals 1,178.097, so that's 0.10, so 1178.10 feet squared. And since we've already taken away that circle from the bottom, we don't have to worry about it. So all I have to do is I have to say total surface area is 13.72 plus 1178.10. When we calculate that, we are done. Phew! These composite, they take a lot of time. So our final total is going to be 2,591.82. And of course that's going to be feet squared. And because I like my teacher, I'm going to put a box around the answer.